Hello and welcome. I am Deji Badimasi and you're watching Politics Today. Tonight we focus on Anambra State, where organizing local government election is turning out to be a very big deal because the last time local government election was held in that southeast state was way back in 1998. Yet the law of that state stipulates that local council elections should take place once every 2 years. Now you understand why it's a big deal. Now between 1998 now and this very moment, the state has had 4 governors and none of them was able to break what is now becoming a jinx of conducting local government elections. So the question is, what exactly is going on and what is wrong? Joining me on the program tonight to discuss this very serious issue that has the potential to throw the state into a very serious political crisis is Mr. Olisaemeka Onyeka, who is a spokesperson of a group called Anambra State Chairmanship and Councillorship Aspirants. Also joining us on the program tonight is Mr. Ray Onyego, who is a lawyer and who is dragging the state government to court over this issue. On the phone from Oka, the Anambra State capital, is the Chief Press Secretary to the Governor of Anambra State, Mr. Mike Uda. We also hope that the National Chairman now of ABGA would be joining us from Enugu. That's Chief Victor Ome. Gentlemen, I want to thank you very much for coming on the program. But let me start with you, Mr. Mike Uda in Oka, the Anambra State capital. Tell me why it's been difficult to conduct local government elections in Anambra State, since 1998. And why your government, for instance, the government of Mr. Peter Obi has still not been able to break that jinx.
Like you have rightly pointed out, the last time local government elections were conducted in Anambra State was in 1998. And everybody knows that by 1998, the present governor, Mr. Peter Obi, CON, had not dreamt of becoming the governor of Anambra State. He only recovered his mandate in 2006. That is by the way. The truth of the matter is that Governor Peter Obi has not, his office as the governor of Anambra State, intervened in any negative way against the conduct of local government elections. There were certain issues that he inherited when he came into office. There was the issue of the expiration of the tenure of the members of ANSEC, Anambra Independent Electoral Commission, which was the body statutorily charged with the conduct of local government elections. Then there was the issue of litigation. But let us come to the present time. The important thing is that Governor B has prepared adequate grounds for the conduct of local government elections in Anambra State. He provided a sum of 100 million naira to ANSEC in 2010.
Mr. Oda, can I just ask you to please turn down the volume of your TV set? There is some kind of interference, so if you could turn that down and then continue, please.
I've done that. I would say that the governor of Anambra State, Mr. Peter Obi, CON, has not done anything to control the conduct of local government elections in the state. He only came into office in 2006, several years after the last election was conducted in 1998.
But from 2006 to this period, he's not been able to conduct local government elections. So what exactly is the problem?
Yes, when we talk about the conduct of local government elections, it is important for us to situate the issue in its correct perspective. There is a body called the Anambra State Independent Electoral Commission. That is the body at the state level that is empowered by law to conduct local government elections. And like the name suggests, it is not a body controlled by the governor. The governor has provided enough funding for this body. For instance, in 2010, the governor made available a whopping sum of 100 million to ANSEC to conduct elections.
Okay, Mr. Oda, just
brand new vehicles to the electoral body. provided 4 trucks apart from the 8 cars, a combi bus, and as we speak, ANSEC is working, trying to procure the necessary materials for the conduct of elections. I understand that.
And that is from 2006 to this time. ANSEC is still working from 2006 to now?
Between 2006 and now, there were some intervening issues. That was what I was trying to tell you before you asked me to tune down the volume of my TV. There was the issue, for instance, of the expiration of the tenure of the members of ANSEC. There was an issue of litigation, and there were other intervening factors which we are not caused by the governor.
All right. Let me just ask you to hold on there and let's turn our attention. But then I still have to ask you to either turn down the volume of your TV set, or you probably have to walk away from either your radio or something that is on, because it's causing a very serious interference. But let me ask you to hold on there and let's turn our attention now to Mr. Olisameka. Mr. Olisameka, you bought you bought your party's nomination form. You were going to contest local government elections. Unfortunately, that election did not hold. Now, those of you who wanted to contest then have now constituted yourself into a group called Chairmanship and Councillorship. That's in Anambra State, called ANACA, Chairmanship and Councillorship aspirants. Tell us exactly, you've heard Mr. Oda, he's explained some of the challenges now the governor is having to deal with, and that's just why he's not been able to conduct local government elections. Is Mr. Oda actually in line?
Okay, thank you very much, but I can tell you without mincing words that if he's taking the governor over 6 years to conduct mere local government election, which has been conducted in some other states up to 4 times from that time, it means the government of Governor Peter Obi has failed and he should resign. That's the simple truth.
But he pointed out something very important, the issue of tenure of the tenure now of the members of the Anambra State Electoral Commission and all of that. Of course, you do not sort that out. You do not have a proper board now constituted. There's no way you can have local government elections.
But the problem is not tenure. It's not tenure of the State Electoral Council. Yes, because we have one in place.
So
just that they don't have a chairman. And why would it take him 6 years to constitute a board, a mayor board? So
what then is the problem?
I think the problem is in Anambra, we have a situation where we have an administrator in the person of Dubemo Abaze, who runs the affairs of the 21 local
and who is that? That would be the commissioner for
local government
and chieftaincy matters.
Yes. That's the simple truth. They don't want to conduct elections because they misappropriate these funds. In Anambra, local government gets, the 21 local government get an average of 3.7 billion monthly. Okay, calculated by 6 years, you get about 270 billion.
Quite serious. Let me go over to you, Mr. Onyego. You once tried to contest, or you contested, and now we understand you're heading to court. What exactly do you think is the problem here, and why has it been difficult to hold local government elections? We're not just looking at this governor alone. Previous governors too have not been able to do it.
I'm sure if the man who was speaking on behalf of Anambra State government listened to himself very well, he knew he was not sounding convincing. He wasn't convincing even to himself. Between 2006 and now, it's 6 good years. And in 6 years, they have just been trying to procure vehicles. And he's been mentioning such a large sums of money. That's not the issue. Now, I know that in the past, the governor said he wasn't going to conduct an election because Anambra was not safe. Another point he made was that the then chairman, Mr. Cornell, or somebody, was appointed by Ngige, that he didn't feel safe having the election conducted by someone appointed by his predecessor. Now, there's no law that says the one who will conduct the election must be appointed by you. The issue of security, we have had several elections. We have had 2 general elections. We have had several by-elections in Anambra State, and those elections have gone well. So they have no excuse except that they want to continue to spend the money meant for, they continue to misappropriate funds meant for the development of Anambra State. is that, for example, in my local government, we receive between 79 and 100 million naira every month. But the money we have is so much that they use part of it to pay teachers in other local governments. So, but there's something I want to clarify here.
Okay.
We've been making a mistake by saying the governor has responsibility of conducting an election. The Section 7, subsection 1 of the Constitution places the power, the authority to conduct election to the local government council on the hands of the State House of Assembly. And both fixing the date of the election and taking every decision relating to the local government is being placed, is being empowered. The House of Assembly has been empowered to do this.
But the House of Assembly hasn't done that.
That's what happened. What we complain about the federal government, but what is happening in the states is that houses of assemblies have become mere appendages of the state executive. So the woman who is the speaker there is there by the grace of the governor, so he cannot challenge the governor. Just go to the case of Abia State against the Attorney General of the Federation and Section 1 of the Section 7 subsection 1 of the Constitution. And the aspirants to local government offices, as he was telling me, have tried to go to the House of Assembly Speaker. He's afraid to even receiving a grand audience. He's afraid to exercise his own powers.
She
is afraid to exercise powers conferred on her by the Constitution. And that's very sad.
I want you to clarify that you have made attempts to meet with the Speaker to find out why the House of Assembly has not been able to call local government elections, and she's just not been able to meet with you guys.
Oh, definitely. We tried all we could. In fact, it was on Thursday, 3 days ago, We went to her, did everything. She said no, that we are not on appointment. And I wonder, for a political office holder of her sort, does it mean she should not be dynamic? Does it mean is it sacrosanct that because you have said on Thursdays is not visiting day that you can't meet people? Even when we came with something as sensitive as non-conduct of local government election in the state. And if you go down to Anambra State, you'll be amazed at the level of poverty being experienced in that state. As we speak, I'll tell you, obituary announcement has increased drastically in Anambra State. People are really suffering. People are dying. And one person is dead.
You mean the inability of the state government to conduct local government elections is responsible for that? Anyway, we're going to come
back. For sure, it is.
I'm going to come back to that. But let me go over to you, Mr. Oda, back in Awka, the Anambra State capital. Tell me now, between 2006 to this time now, how has the government been running local governments in that state?
Before I answer that question, Deji, I want to make a few clarifications.
Okay, very good. Please go ahead.
Yes, it is necessary for us to understand that even as all of us are interested in ensuring that the third tier of government is put in place democratically in line with the constitution of this country, as we speak, over 27 states out of the 36 states in this country are still being run by caretaker committees.
But that is still no excuse, is it?
It's no excuse, I agree, but it is important to let people know. That is one. Two.
And let me get this straight. Have they been doing that since 1998?
No, Governor B was not there in 1998.
No, I know. I just wanted to get something right. Of course, Governor B came in 2006.
Governor B was there in 1998, and somebody has just accused the present Speaker of the House of Assembly of also conspiring with the governor. That Speaker assumed up a few months ago. There was a different state House of Assembly there. In fact, there have been two different state Houses of Assembly before the present one. So which state House of Assembly are we talking about?
Okay, so between 2006 and now, Mr. Oda, between 2000...
The other Houses of Assembly from performing their own duties.
So between 2006 and now, tell me how local governments have been run in Anambra State. Who's been in charge?
Governments have been run in Anambra State the way they have been run in over 27 states of the Federation. They have been run by caretaker committees. And those caretaker committees are made up of people who are Anambra people. And there are over 250 people in the 21 local government areas. And what is more, there is a law duly passed by the Anambra State House of Assembly that gives legitimacy to the transition committee while ANSEC is preparing to conduct local government elections. From Zamfara to Kebbi to Kano, Ondo, Oyo, and several other states in the country, there are local government capital committees in place that handle the administration of their various local government areas.
I get the point, but if it's...
I've told you that ANSEC is gearing up to conduct elections. It is not a Governor P2B affair. The picture being presented of the people there is quite different from what is in reality on ground. Nobody is dying in Anambra State because of non-conduct of local government elections. If you look at the indices of development throughout the country and then compare what obtained in Anambra State with what you have in other states of the Federation, you make your pass your own judgment.
So are you now saying that before Governor Peter Obi leaves office, he will break that jinx by conducting local government elections?
Why shouldn't he break the jinx when it is on record that he is the first governor to constitute a properly laid out ANSEC in our electoral committee in Anambra State?
All right. Let me just pause you there.
Monsignor as a member, you have an Anglican Archdeacon as a member. In fact, it is surprising that some of our people will go out to unnecessarily criticize Governor B over local government elections because in some states of the country, they do not have electoral bodies as we speak.
Okay, let me just ask you, Mr. Oda, just hold on. I'm going to come back to you, Mr. Oda. I'm going to come back to you. Let me come to you, Mr. Onyego. You listen to him. Yes. These local government councils now have been run by caretaker committees, and really, it's a basic fact that Anambra State is not the only state where you have caretaker committee chairmen running local government, in this country.
That two people are committing a wrong does not make it a right. But I want to respond to the issue of so many people dying in Anambra State. Perhaps Mr. Oda does not know. I work for a civil society organization called Socio-Economic Rights Initiative, which has been monitoring Millennium Development Goals projects in Anambra State since 2008. And on that basis, I have visited every community in Anambra State. I've visited every project that's been constructed by the government of Anambra State. And I must tell you, the claims we have from the government of Anambra State is not a reflection of, what we have on ground in the villages is not a reflection of the claim by the government. The health centers that they built, they said they built all over the place, are non-functional. You just have empty buildings with nobody there. They are so-called computer projects. And
how do we tie that now to this local government?
How you tie that to the local government issue is because the money, part of the money meant for local government administration is being used by the states. The only thing the government does is just give money to the head of service of the local government to pay salary and take the rest of the money. So the governor said openly that he uses the money better than the local governments, which means he's claiming that
you mean the governor specifically said that?
He said so. He said he's using whatever money that comes to the state to develop the state. That it doesn't matter who spends the money that is being spent on Anambra State. So it's not true that people are dying because nothing is happening in Anambra State.
Okay, let me bring you in here. Yeah.
Okay, let me even remind what's his name, Mr. Oda. That sometime last year the election was fixed, but I bet you it went the normal way of this administration. What do I mean by normal way? The way of deceit.
But I'm just surprised that you keep blaming this administration. How come you're not talking about the administration that was there between 1998 and 2006?
Oh, but that's very simple. I can clarify the issue. The last local government officers, their tenure expired in 2002. Mbadinuju left in 2003. General elections were conducted 1 year after. Governor Ngige came in during his tenure. He wanted to conduct local government elections. He has drawn his timetable and guidelines. Surprisingly, the federal government, I think the president then, President Olusegun Obasanjo, His government wrote him that he should not conduct that election. That was what led to setting Anambra State ablaze. Probably people would have forgotten this. And I'm sure if not for that, he would have conducted that election.
And of course, after Dr. Ngige, Mr. Peter Obi.
But please, I wanted to even make some issues straight. This administration, in 2010, they said they were conducting elections. A lot of us came out, spent money, did campaign and everything. Behold, by the time we went, they postponed the election because of voters register. Today, voters register, INEC voters register is in place, a good register. Elections have been conducted with it, no complaint. Where is the election? We don't have the election. I don't know if you are getting up. Then we went back to the budget of Anambra State. There was no fund for the election. Oda said they appropriated about 100, a whooping, even said it, a whooping 100 million for the election. How can you conduct, even if it's town union election, how can you conduct elections with 100 million? Who is deceiving you?
Let me ask him to respond to that, Mr. Oda. I want you to respond to some of the issues they've been raising here. For instance, would it be enough to conduct local government elections? Would 100 million naira be enough to conduct local government elections?
I didn't say that was all the amount of money needed for that election. I said that at the inception of ANSIEC that was reconstituted by Governor Peter Obi upon the expiration of the tenure of the people who were there. The gentlemen with you, they are confusing a lot of issues. One of them would accuse the former president of the country of being responsible for the non-conduct of the elections within a space of 3 years that somebody held sway in the state before Governor B came in. The other person blamed the State House of Assembly. I have the impression that these young men, they are sponsored, they are on a mission. I want that particularly he was a member of the administration. He knew too much about the government. And I've not heard his name as one of these people who work in that government. In any case, the important thing is that some of them claim they are members of a non-governmental organization. We know legitimate...
But this non-governmental organization, of course, worked in Anambra State. I mean...
being sponsored. But the truth of the matter, let's go to the fact, is that Governor Peter Obi is not standing on the way of local government elections. And people are not dying. Somebody said some hospitals have been reduced, but they are not functional. And when we talk about Millennium Development Goals, Deji, you remember that all the states do in terms of the pursuit of Millennium Development Goals are to contribute their own quota. You provide a matching grant.
But they also have a responsibility to ensure that the money is spent properly.
Now, tell me whether that young man who said nothing was happening and people were dying in droves was a better monitor of the projects that involved international donor agencies than DFID, for instance, than World Bank. Do you think that any of those international agencies will continue to fund projects when the state government was not doing the right thing?
But I have to also ask you, I mean...
These people are out there, they are on their own mission.
Okay, just can you just hold on very quickly?
To give the impression that he's not doing anything. We have records in unity.
Mr. Oda, I'm going to come back to you.
We have records in all the international donor agencies. We read media reports.
Thank you, Mr. Oda, but let us take a listen.
If he doesn't want to believe what we read,
Mr. Oda, you still have to do something about... Yeah, Mr. Oda, just hold on. I'm going to come back to you, but you still have to do something. You still have to help us. There's still some kind of interference now coming, interference now in your call, so please do something about it. Very quickly now, I want you to respond to some of the issues he's raised.
Yep.
He talked about your organization, for instance.
Mr. Oda, Socio-Economic Rights Initiative was officially appointed by the office of...
But I also don't want us to lose focus.
No. But was appointed by the office of the Special Assistant to the President on Millennium Development Goals to monitor conditional grant scheme projects. That is, projects funded jointly by the state government and the federal government relating to MDG projects. But along the line, we monitored practically everything and we wrote reports. Mr. Oda, I worked with Mr. Keke of your MDG office very close to the governor's office there. And we were taken to him by the Commissioner for Environment, Commissioner for Economic Planning. So that's one. Number two is we are still currently working in Anambra State, funded by the Ford Foundation. And your government said, asked communities to make input into the budget of Anambra State. And we worked with the communities, and I will leave that for another day. But yeah, when you talk about fake NGOs, we are on ground. I'm from Orezukala in Orumba South Local Government of Anambra State. And so I know what is going on. I have been to every community in Anambra State. Very quickly, I said something. That money meant for teachers, money meant for my local government. Part of it is being diverted to pay teachers in other local government. And if you still say I am confused, I will still give you information. I have information to back what I'm saying. So
tell me now about the court process you're planning to file. I'm going to come to you, but I want you to quickly talk about that.
Yes, I have been returned by the member representing Orumba North and South Federal Constituency in the House of Representatives, Honorable Ben Wankwo, to sue the government of Anambra State, to compel them to obtain an mandamus from the High Court, to compel them to conduct local government election. And we also, this week, going to file another case in Abuja to restrain the Revenue Mobilization and Allocation Committee from disbursing the monies meant for Anambra State to the state government.
Anambra State local government areas.
Anambra State local governments to the state government, because we have information about the abuses, about the way the money is being diverted.
Okay, let me get your reaction before we end this.
Okay, I even want to take us aback. When Governor Peter Obi was campaigning for second term in office, he made a commitment to conduct local government election in 6 months. And I bet you it is high time our political office holders started living to their worth. You know, integrity is key in governance. You can't lead people when you can't walk your talk. You know, and I still challenge this administration, because I make bold to say they embezzle these funds. Because when we talk of misappropriation,
that's a serious allegation. Do you have any evidence at all to show
because
the embezzled funds?
I know how much that comes to my local government monthly. However, we get an average of 270 million monthly, and I want the government to take an inventory.
And what is your local government? What's the local government? What's
10 million Lord. In fact, we get the highest allocation in the southeast. Let's take an inventory of what is on ground. We find that there is nothing to show for this.
All right, I'll let you have the final say here, Mr. Oda, but please, I want you to be very brief, straight to the point, and we don't want any interference at all.
And stop insulting us. We're from Anambra State.
I've told you that those people, they are on a hatchet mission. They are
really?
And if any of them has any evidence of any wrongdoing in terms of the application of local government funds, I think they will feel well to produce the evidence. And in any case, they are not going to go brief for other arms of government. So what I want everybody to note is that those people are sponsored. I've heard about the person who says he's from a general local government area. I'm not surprised, because I know where he's coming from. But the truth of the matter is that Governor B has lived up to his word. He has not done anything contrary to what he told Anambra people before the election.
All right, Mr. Oda.
At the first time on the re-election.
Okay, Mr. Oda, can you just tell us specifically when local government elections will be held?
Unfortunately, that is a $100 million question, which I cannot tell you, because there is a body charged with that responsibility. I can't tell you that. I cannot tell you, but what I want to tell you is that the governor has made adequate provisions for the conduct of the election. Yes, I agree. The amount of money brought in 2008 may not be adequate, but even in the present 2012 budget, there is provision for funds for the conduct of
how much is that? How much is that?
Anybody who is blaming, I cannot tell you the amount, but that budget has not been approved by the State House of Assembly.
Thank you very much. I have to let you go here.
It's when the State House of Assembly passes that budget and the executive signs into law, that I can authoritatively mention in specific terms how much is there. Unfortunately, the people there with you, some of them are similar to post. They accused the executive, at one point, in another breath, they accused the president, the one-time president of the country. In another breath, they accused the...
Mr. Mike Oda, I want to thank you very much for joining us on the program. And let me just say, Mr. Mike Oda is the Chief Press Secretary to Governor Peter Obi is actually not the Commissioner for Information and Commissioner for Local Government and Chieftaincy Matters. He is the Chief Press Secretary to the Governor of Anambra State. Mr. Michael Da spoke with us now from Awka, the Anambra State capital. Very quickly, very quickly, in 30 seconds, I want you to wrap up.
Okay, it's very simple. I'll just put it to them because I know when they were being sworn in, both the governor and his cabinet members, I know they are Christians, they held Bible by their hand and swore to protect and keep to the stipulations of the Constitution of Federal Republic.
And that's what you want them to do. Thank you.
And that's exactly what I want them to do.
Thank you very much, Mr. Onyego.
Yes, running local government councils by head of service or caretaker committees is unknown to the Constitution and is a clear breach of the Constitution. We urge Anambra State government to, as quickly as possible, conduct local government election and do the right thing. And
unfortunately, as I said, quite a lot of states are doing it. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for coming on the program. Mr. Ru Onyego, who is a lawyer, thank you very much for your time. And Mr. Olisameka Onyeka, thank you very much. He is a spokesperson of ANACA, that's Anambra State Chairmanship and Councillorship Aspirant. Well, it's so funny. I've never had, an association of chairmanship. You're still planning to run whenever?
For sure.
Well, welcome back. Joining me to discuss the Anambra situation now further is Mr. Onyeka Chubani, a lawyer and political analyst. Mr. Bani, thank you very much for coming on the program. You've been following this development. You're a lawyer. What is going on in Anambra State now? Is it an aberration when you consider the fact that, as the Chief Press Secretary to the Governor said, that 27 other states are doing practically the same thing?
Yeah, it is an aberration, and he has rightly pointed out that almost 27 states out of the 36 in the entire Federation are breaching the Constitution. I just want you to take a look at Section 7. It says the system of local government by democratically elected local government council is under this Constitution guaranteed. Now, the issue of enacting a law by the State House of Assembly to make provision for the existence, composition, structure is left with the State House of Assemblies. Now, if they make any provision for caretaker committee, maybe when there is some impracticability in governance, it should not be more than 6 months. You guarantee election.
There must be Anambra State from 1998.
That is absurdity of the highest order. And that the governor is giving all manner of excuses, issue of insecurity in the state, whereas he has told the entire country that Anambra State is secure. Why are you giving this as a reason? So I have listened to the special...
the Chief Press Secretary, yes.
The reasons he advanced are not convincing enough that for 6 years, this government has been unable to conduct a democratically elected government under the particular local government.
And he said, well, some of that he inherited this problem.
Yeah, he mentioned some of the problems he inherited, but for 6 years, even last year, there was a promise to hold elections. These people that came here, most of them picked the form and paid a certain amount of money to various political parties. At the end of the day, you postpone that election without giving any adequate reason. As I speak to you today, Nigerians in America are clamoring for Anambra State government to hold an election in the local government council. Because as people are rallying for, that is a government at the grassroots level. Now you are denying these people the issue of democracy at that level. And there are many duties that are, that are being assigned under the Constitution to local government administration. Now the Constitution has guaranteed periodic election. Now you are now appointing what you call caretaker committee. For God's sake, where do they derive that particular power to appoint caretaker committees?
He also said something, I don't know if that justifies the creation of these caretaker committees. Yes. He said the State House of Assembly actually made the law and made provision for the creation of this caretaker committee chairman, So that would sort of legalize...
No, it's an aberration. If there is any provision of a State House of Assembly law that is inconsistent with the provisions of the Constitution, of course, this is a ground law. This is the fundamental law of the land. It will be regarded inconsistent and then declared null and void to the extent of inconsistency. So any law that makes provision for caretaker committee, unless there are problems, as I said earlier, even if there are problems within the local government council, it should not last more than 6 months for you to have caretaker committee and then guarantee a democratic election.
And this has gone on for 6 years.
For 6 years and all that. For 6 years, but for now, even for Anambra, it's now up more than 6 years.
Okay,
that's 10 years.
You are a political analyst apart from being a lawyer. Now, tell me me, look at the political permutations now.
Yes.
What do you think, politically speaking now,
Yes.
could be responsible for this situation in Anambra State?
Now, let me tell you what is going, not only in Anambra. What they do is that some of the governors, when they come in, they don't like some of the local government chairmen. They need to have control. So what they do is that most time they sack those government, which most courts have declared illegal, because the state governor has no right whatsoever to dismiss a government that is democratically elected. It doesn't have such powers under the law. So they don't like such a situation where you have a democratically elected local government council. So what they prefer is having a caretaker committee that will help them, to have access to the funds, which is what he is alleging here. And that is what is going on all over the federation. 27 states, the man made the allegation. It's not only Anambra. That how can you have local government being run by caretaker committee? These guys need money for their political purposes. They need money for their elections. So they require that money that is going to local government councils for their political purposes. That's what is going on. It's all over the federation. And Nigerians are docile. If you see the kind of robbery going on at the local government council in this federation, if Nigerians begin to put their eyes into it, I can assure you that we begin to have administration going on all over the federation. Because that is a key area. A key area, the third tier of government, where you have issue of provision of school, the issue of provision of roads, the issue of provision of many things by the local government council, which is not being done presently, and that's why we don't have dividends of democracy being enjoyed. In this democracy of how many years? Over 10 years now. Nothing is happening to Nigeria at all. The infrastructures are decayed and Nigerians are not enjoying anything. So the Anambarians should wake up today and begin to demand that Obi should conduct an election. He has no reason whatsoever. The issue of going to court, before you know that case, before you know in 2013, the man is out of the government. So I want a situation where Anambarians will rise up and say, look, for now, we need democracy at that level. And do it. And all over the federation also. Yeah, Nigerians must all rise up to begin to demand the application of the constitution.
But there's something I want to ask you. Let us look at those states now where local government elections have been organized. Lagos State, for instance, you saw how controversial the local government elections were in Lagos State. And in some other states where local government elections have been held, they turned out very controversial.
That's right.
Because of one particular trend we've noticed. Any governor that is in power, any state that controls, any party that controls the state tends to win a landslide completely. In Lagos State, we saw a clean sweep by the ACN. You go to Kwara State, we saw a clean sweep by the PDP because the controlling party there is the PDP.
One of the proposed amendments people ask.
Isn't that a problem as well? And some people would say, well, if Mr. Peter Obi actually wants local government elections to be held in Anambra State, I mean, that kind of trend could play out in Anambra. So why
One is wondering, actually, because the Constitution allows the State House of Assembly to enact a law creating an autonomous state-independent electoral board. Of course, we know that these electoral bodies are under the control of the governor. He does whatever he wants to do with it. I give kudos to Lagos State that we have never had issue of caretaker committee in Lagos State.
But even though
the elections, have been, criticized. But the point is this. When you allow the state electoral bodies to conduct election for the state, then you have such a problem. That's why people are clamoring for amendment of the Constitution that the national body should be the one, because of the absurdity that is going on there, that any party in power at the state level, the entire local government will be captured by them. And again, that is another political issue, because they need this compliant local government chairman also to have access to the fund because of the joint state local government account that has been created by that's another absurdity. Now you collect your own money. Why must you now tamper with the money of the local government council? Why can't that money go directly to them so that they can use it for administration? And then you strengthen the institution that should watch them, because one of the reasons people give is that if you leave this money with local government chairman, they will just siphon them, they will still. So it's better state government now apply control. And I'm saying, why don't we use institutions to apply control? You control your own money to develop your own sphere of influence, then allow local government council and then activate institution that will monitor them. So if this money comes to them.
Could we say all the problems we've seen with local government elections, it simply boils down to money?
It boils down to money. They're all looking for money. It's all about money. So either they have compliant local government chairmen when they conduct this their charade election. They have their own men in power. So they still have access to the money. Or they dethrone the government and then have access to caretaker committee chairmen that they can control. Directly, they are in power. The governors are in power all over the federation. Anytime you conduct election, the party in power will win all over the state, all over the local government council. So they are also in power, they have access to the fund, or they just dethrone and then appoint local government committee chairman caretaker committee, they also have access to. So it's about money. It's all about money. And Nigerians should begin to look into this local government administration. Why we cannot have election in that particular district and activate institution that should monitor.
I want to, very quickly, just before we end this, I want us to look at this issue of caretaker committee chairman.
Yes.
They just can't function as elected local government chairman because they're appointed by the governor.
That's
the
right.
governor has absolute control.
That's right.
And they owe their allegiance not to the people but to the government, right?
That's the party's position. And that's what Okere is crying. You know, one of the things that you enjoy in local government administration, you have the political power by a party in power, like ABGA, should have, this local government should at least contribute even to political party, the ABGA. But now the governor is the one controlling everything. And that's why the man is also crying. Okere is crying. Everyone in Anambra is crying. They don't enjoy anything whatsoever by way of having a democratically elected people that should administer that particular local government in the entire state. It's only the governor that controls whoever is in charge. It's absurdity of the hell. It's contrary to the provisions of the court. It's an impeachable offense.
And it's denying the other political parties the right to contest.
They right to even contest. I mean, maybe that it may not be ABGA controlling. There may be other political parties. They may come in and they have their own local government chairman there. They can also help in funding the political party. So one man alone is absurdity. Sure. I have regard for Governor P2B, but for this, he has breached the constitution. It's an impeachable offense, and I want Anambra people to rise up and demand now
of course,
that the election was held.
You wouldn't expect the State House of Assembly to impeach.
Well, the point is that it's an impeachable offense, as I said earlier. The people should make the State House of Assembly to do something concerning that. The governor should conduct election. It is imperative. So also in Abia State, where I come from. So all over the states, why are they having caretaker committee? It is an absurdity. It's contrary to the provisions of this constitution, which says democratically elected is guaranteed. Why are you having caretaker committee?
Welcome back. Now, the Save Nigeria Group recently held a press conference here in Lagos where it gave the federal government 2 weeks to take what it calls concrete steps towards prosecuting those indicted in the subsidy probe report of the House of Representatives. To refresh your memory now, here is the report of that press briefing.
Records from Lois Intelligence.
Even though it's barely a week now since the House of Representatives approved the report of its committee which investigated the management of oil subsidy, the call for action on the report is mounting. President Jonathan is on record to have said no one indicted by the report will be spared. But the Save Nigeria Group says it is not swayed by the assurances from the presidency and wants urgent action.
We are given 2 weeks to see concrete steps in the direction of prosecuting the indicted officials, failing which we shall be calling our people out on protest. Given the low confidence the people have in anti-corruption agencies in dealing with political corruption in Nigeria, we are demanding the appointment of a private prosecutor to deal with these prosecutions.
Just as you're trying to recover from the pension scheme scam, along comes this humongous assault, material assault on the resources of the ordinary people. The populace should be ready for another determined march on corruption.
The group went ahead to give a list of areas that should be looked into. It includes the following: probe of alleged overpayment to NNPC, investigation of the clearance of the incumbent governor of Gombe State while he was accountant general, probe of the petroleum minister, the minister of finance, and 2 previous finance ministers, Olusegun Aganga and Mansour Mukhtar, and the probe of the 2012 budget subsidy on oil to find out why it is in the region of 800 billion naira.
No one should be seen to be above the law. So it's not just paying lip service that we need. There must be political will on the part of the government to prosecute all those who have been found wanting.
Our message to our countrymen and women is that they must be strong-hearted and determined to take back our country. If our people realize what 3 trillion can do in the life of a nation, it will not be difficult to understand why we must kill corruption, lest it kills us, as it is systematically doing already.
The group was at the forefront in the organized protest against the oil subsidy removal earlier this year. It says the report has vindicated its strong stance against the removal of subsidy, but what the government would make of these ultimatum remains a question of wait and see. Now, shortly after that briefing, reactions began pouring in from different directions. One of such reactions was that of a former presidential spokesman, Dr. Doyin Okukwe. Here's what he said.
The SNG, as is presently constituted, is a total, complete apparatus and machinery of the CPC. There's, bring Pastor Bakari here.
Can you say that for sure?
No, that's what I'm telling you now. Bring Pastor Bakari here. I know Pastor Bakari fears God. Put a Bible on this table for him and tell him to say that what I'm saying is not correct. He is CPC. Odumaki is CPC. All the people who work in SNC are members of Pastor Bakari's church, and they are all CPC. We are not and we cannot be against opposition. A vibrant opposition is what Nigeria needs to keep government and those who are in government, to keep them in check. But it must not be disguised. Even SNG has a right to be an arm of a civil society arm of CPC. It must be declared so that people are not confused. You understand my point? When you are pursuing a political policy, a political agenda, we will know it might be good for the country. I am not against SNG.
Dr. Doyin Okukwe joining me now to react to some of the issues raised by Dr. Okukwe is spokesperson of the Save Nigeria Group, Mr. Yinka Odumaki. Mr. Odumaki, thank you very much. Is Save Nigeria Group an arm of the CPC? Is it the civil society arm of the CPC?
Well, I think anybody that's making such a claim is either mischievous or ignorant, because the SNG came into being before the CPC ever came into being. SMG came about in 2010, and when there was a crisis of impunity, when President Yahya was sick, and they would not allow the present president to exercise power. That's when SNG came on being, and we marched Abuja, Lagos, everywhere. And it's on record that President Jonathan thanked the SNG openly for breaking the back of the cabal that would not allow him to exercise power. People like Dr. Doyin Okukwe was nowhere to find at that time. Now, that's the convener of the SNG, that he ran for the election. Does that remove his right as a Nigerian? If the guy were alive today, who ran for the president of the Nigeria 2003, would say he cannot talk over the ceiling of 3 trillion naira? Femi Falana today,
could you say that,
he's the chairman of National Congress Party. He ran for governorship election in Ekiti State 2003. Does that remove his right to speak on the theft of our public funds? Professor Wale Soyinka is the chairman of the national political party, PDF or PDF.
One of those political
parties. Is he saying that he cannot talk again in this country? I think that Dr. Okukwe is not, and with due respect, is not a man whose views should be taken serious on anybody for the following reasons. There was a man who was Obasanjo's spokesman. When he was speaking for Obasanjo was the best thing that happened in the world after toast bread. Recently, he said Obasanjo is a political liability. In 1998, if you go back a bit, when parties started, he was in AD at the beginning. He was huffing and puffing everywhere. AD is the party. Shortly after, he crossed to the PDP and then started throwing stones at the AD. This same Dr. Okukwe, when in February 9, 2010, he granted an interview to the Vanguard newspaper where he said that the PDP is a party without soul. Today, he is the leader of a faction of that PDP in Ogun State. So, and it takes a man who's ethically challenged. For we are saying that 3 trillion naira was spent on subsidy, for which only 245 billion naira was budgeted for 2011. And all can come about is going to be telling lies.
Let me ask you, are you a member of the CPC?
I'm not a member of the CPC. And if I'm a member of CPC, assume I am even. Is he saying that? In fact, if the parties in Nigeria, if they know their onions, the political parties that should be in front to demand that those who are stealing our money be prosecuted. Nelson Mandela led the NC for 27 years. He was in prison. He contested elections.
I should point out that shortly after that, your press conference, the PDP, of course, came out with a statement to say, look, they support the prosecution of all those indicted by in the subsidy.
No, they said that before.
Okay, they said that before. Before you came out with your
thing.
So they did the right thing.
No, well, to the extent to which they made a statement, but the issue is very clear. What is at stake now is that there's a battle for the soul of Nigeria. As I speak to you, DJ, the states last Friday just received only 30% of their allocation for the month of March. Let's Dr. Kupe come out.
Where did you get that information?
That's a fact. Let them come out and dispute it. It was only on Friday, March 3rd, that they received 30% of the allocation for the March. Because
not even for April.
Not even for April. And this issue are put on the table.
And what is wrong? Because there's no money.
Because there's no money. So, and we are saying that those who have stolen our money, they should vomit the money. And so, the issue in Nigeria today is that corruption is killing this country. And we are saying, because they are also trying to misconstrue what we are saying, we are not saying that those who have stolen our money should be jailed in 2 weeks. There's a process. But we are saying that if there is no concrete steps being taken to ensure that these people are brought to book, we are going to be taking action.
I have to ask you this. Look at the reaction of the Attorney General a couple of days ago, the reaction of the federal government and all of that. Don't you think those are concrete steps? And of course, we now know, and the presidency has come out to say, look, as we speak, that report has not been transmitted to the president. So, I mean, to give the president 2 weeks, and 2 weeks started counting from the day you held that press conference. So the first week is gone.
Oh, yes.
And if the report of the National Assembly, I mean, the House of Representatives now, the subsidy report, that's a subsidy probe report now, has not been transmitted to the presidency, and let's face fact, it would take some time to do all the groundworks, make the legal preparation with a view to filing cases and prosecuting. 2 weeks is just not feasible.
No. We see what you are already seeing is that the statement made at General, for instance, they are still warning. They think that we'll forget this. Don't forget that we have had a scandal that was much more serious than this one. Dr. Oduyokube's principal, Obasanjo, the same House of Reps did a report which shows that under him, $16 billion was spent on power projects for which nothing was generated. Nigerians forgot. The reason why they are sending people like Dr. Oduyokubo out now to go and be attack dogs for them is because they are thought that it will be the usual thing. The report will be released. Oh, yes, we are doing something about it. But before you know it, something bigger has happened and Nigerians are forgotten. But we are saying that this report will not go into the mortuary of poor reports in Nigeria. This is a catalyst in history.
Did you see some of the newspaper headlines today?
Yeah.
I mean, saying SNG, SNG to take control of Nigeria and all of that.
No. Well, this one to say their people. All we said is that Nigerians should be ready to occupy their land if there's an attempt to sweep this under the carpet.
But would you, as a spokesperson of the group, the actions that have been taken by the government so far, the fact that this report has not been transmitted to the presidency, the fact that the Attorney General has come out to say, look, yes, we are going to do this, the President too has come out to say, we are going to do this, those are not concrete steps?
No, all the thing they has done so far is to stonewall, is to give a basis for them to buy time. And he has shown that there's a conflict of interest because it's an appointee of the president. He's a member of the PDP. Most of those have been there. Are members of the party.
You are still insisting on your independent prosecution.
We're asking for a private prosecutor, and we are saying that if we see concrete steps being taken towards prosecution, we are not anarchists, we are not crazy people. But if they want to switch this one,
but have you seen those concrete steps?
We have not seen anything done yet.
And if those steps, if we don't see those steps within the next 1 week?
Within the next 1 week, of course, Nigerians will hear from us.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Odumakin, for coming on the program. Thank you very much for your time. I've been speaking with Mr. Yinka Odumakin, who is a spokesperson of Save Nigeria Group. That's it on the program tonight. We thank you very much for watching. We're back again next week. Until then, I am Deji Badimasi. Continue to stay tuned to Channels Television.